Hi. So I have a oddly crystal clear memory of the moment when I realized that my best friend and I were going to have to break up because our relationship had just become too confrontational. We were 5. Her name was Toe. Her real name was Patricia, but her older brother really liked our neighbor's dog, Toto, so he started calling her Toto, and her parents were surprisingly fine with it. So we had been best friends since we were babies, and Toe was pretty bold, and that was good for me because I was shy. Like, I never would have had the courage to put on a puppet show for like the whole neighborhood and serve the audience rolled up slices of bologna as hors d'oeuvres, which was like my dream, if Toe hadn't said like, yes, let's definitely do that. And we did, and everyone came, and it was great. But lately we'd been fighting all the time. And one day we were in my backyard. This is just outside Philadelphia where we grew up, and we were arguing over what we were gonna do. I wanted to pick flowers, which meant that I wanted to pick like flowering weeds and put them in a vase made out of a Dixie cup. Toey had recently decided that flower picking was for babies, and she wanted to run around the house, which meant she wanted to literally run around the house, which I didn't want to do because running is unpleasant. And so I said, you know what we're gonna have to do? And she said, yeah, compromise. Because I think one of our parents had taught us about compromise because we had been bitterly compromising for weeks by just going back to Toey's house and watching TV and eating Doritos, which was fine. But this time I just thought to myself, you know what? I'm so glad we don't go to the same kindergarten. Actually, we went to the same kindergarten, but we were just in different classrooms. But to us, that was like, we were so far apart. It was like I was overseas, studying in an exchange program because we never saw each other, and it was very traumatic for us. But this day, I decided that it was fate, because I needed to like spread my wings and make some new friends that were unathletic and that wouldn't make me feel like dumb for doing baby stuff. And specifically, I wanted to be friends with Casey. Casey was in my class, and she was really different because she was girly and quiet, and she had braids. She complimented my painting. Toey and I never complimented each other, so I thought this was very mature. She was so nice. And so she was the one. And so the next time we were at a table coloring worksheets together, I was like ready to make my move. But I had never had to make a friend before. I didn't know like what to do, how to start a conversation. So what I did was I just watched Casey out of the corner of my eye, and every time she picked up a crayon color and colored a certain section of her worksheet, I picked up the same color crayon and colored the same section of my worksheet, like green, and then she did blue and I did blue, and then she did pink and I did pink, and I just did that for a while until she noticed and said, hey, you picked all the same colors as me. Like it was a coincidence. So I was like, oh, yeah, wow, I did. And then we went back to coloring, and then later she looked again and she said, oh my gosh, your colors are still all the same as mine. That's so neat. Neat. It is neat. Casey, like, it totally worked. We hit it off. She laughed. I laughed. I was living a lie. I didn't care. Like, it went so great. And so the next thing I knew, the very next weekend, I was going to Casey's house for a play date. We drive up to her house. It's tiny. Her yard is huge. I can't imagine all the kind of wonderful things we're going to do there. My mom drives away. Casey's mom goes inside to make us lemonade, I assume. And Casey turns to me and says, hey, do you want to pick onions? That throws me. Because, like, what is she talking about? Like, I didn't know that kids dealt with onions. But I just got there, and, I want this to work. So I'm like, yes, let's do that. And it turns out Casey's yard is infested with onion grass. And when you pick that up from the roots, it has like a little bulb at the bottom, like that looks like an onion, hence the name. And she liked to pretend to be a farmer. So we picked some onion grass, which was kind of interesting for like a minute, but we did it for a while. And then Casey says, isn't this fun? No, I wanted to say. Like, we're picking grass, Casey. This is incredibly stupid. But I can't say that because she thinks that we picked 15 matching crayon colors just the other day, and we have some kind of psychic connection. And I cannot be honest with her now. And I realize that what I really want is for Toe to be here, because first of all, Toe would never tolerate this activity. And secondly, she would tell Casey to her face that she needed to get it together and start doing some cooler stuff. But I was too afraid. So we just kept doing this onion grass thing. By the way, there's no further steps to the process. You just pick the onion grass and you look at it. This is what we are doing. For hours, or so it seemed. And finally, Casey gets dehydrated or something, I don't know. We go into the house, we give this grass to her mother, who pretends to like it. There's no lemonade. We take our waters down to Casey's basement. Toey's basement, I'll just say, by the way, had been flooded recently, and we weren't allowed to go down there, but Toe said we had to because her family had gotten this amazing vacuum with a hose attached to it. You could put it on the rug, and it would suck up the water. It looked really cool. So we snuck down there, and she was totally right. It was an amazing vacuum. Casey's basement is beige. We take turns riding her rocking horse. I have never been so disappointed in another human being in my whole life. When my mom comes to pick me up, I run to the car like it's a life raft. I barely remember to say goodbye. I never saw Casey outside of school again. And on the way home, I decide that Toey would probably have her feelings hurt if I told her that I'd gone on a play date with Casey and that I had been considering replacing her. So I won't tell her. Unless we get in a really big fight and I need a really good comeback. Thanks.
Lizzie.